Welcome to another episode of the SportsBros podcast, featuring the Almighty B Live, the Money Man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative, Eddy Cool. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the SportsBros. Hey, what's going on, world? This be your boy, Eddy Cool, a.k.a. the HOC, the head of creative, at your favorite sports podcast, none other than the SportsBros podcast. It is episode number 94, and we're inching closer by the week to episode 100. Got something special coming up, but I can't let the cat out of the bag just yet. Just so I don't put my co-host on the spot like I have been doing for the last few weeks, famous number 94s, Keith Traylor, a defensive tackle for the Bears, the Patriots, and everybody back in the heyday. And also Brendan Shanahan for the Hartford Whalers. He also wore number 94 back in 1996. But enough of the historical numerical facts leading up to episode 100. I got two hosts I want to introduce you guys to. First off, the Almighty B Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? Man, you would think with no football this past week that, the sports world might be just a little, not much going on, but we got some action going on this week with this podcast. And then we got the other guy he's going to introduce, and he's all right. Yes, sir.
All right, and the sad other guy, the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania. As we said before, it never rains in Western Pennsylvania, but it damn sure snows in Western Pennsylvania. The one, the only, the Money Man, Scottie D.
Yeah, it's cold. Hey guys, how are you doing? Happy Black History Month to you. And let me tell you, my mother told me a couple days ago, you know what? You're very opinionated. That's just she's right. So that's just my way of saying you guys are lucky to have me. I'm here to set you straight. So let's take off, man. Let's ready to go. Scott Donnelly's SportsBros podcast, ready to rock and roll here.
No. First of all, what you're not going to do is take over the podcast during Black History Month when you have two African-American co-hosts. We ain't going to see. This is where this podcast is going wrong already. We're going to keep it diverse. And,
you're lucky to have me. You're lucky.
We are lucky to have you. This is our version of affirmative action by having you on the show.
Wow.
So
I see. Well,
you asked for that one. You left that door wide open. But yeah.
Well, thank you for the olive branch. Thank you for having me. I'm so honored.
I kind of had something, but I'm truly at a loss of words right now. I had something funny going on, but as soon as you hit me with the AA, I was like, oh, that's out the window. That bird is gone.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, you ever see a duck fly in the snow? Well, you did today, damn it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, back on track, and has in the words of the Almighty B Live, but I digress. All right, fellas, guess what? We're a handful of days away from Super Bowl 55. 2 5s, fifth, the double nickel edition of the championship game of the National Football League. Fellas, this is the last game of the season. It's the last game of the season. Here we are, representing the American Football Conference, the reigning, defending champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, versus the champions of the National Football Conference, the NFC, Tom Brady, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, it's prediction time. We weren't going to spend too much time last week divulging into it because, who wants to listen to 2 weeks of constant Super Bowl coverage? You get tired of it. That's why we said, hey, we're going to stop right here and pick up next week. We said last week is this week, and next week is right now. Yeah, exactly. A whole lot going on. You get what I mean? And I'm keeping that in there. I'm not editing that out.
Okay.
All right.
And with that being said, all right, fellas, what is it going to take for each team to win? Starting with you, Scottie D.
Well, I think for the Buccaneers to win this game, they're going to have to figure out a way to neutralize the speed of the Kansas City Chiefs. And maybe the best way to do that is to keep them off the field and ball control. Brady maybe not the gunslinger he used to be, and he seems to have done well this year whenever Tampa Bay has run the ball. And I think they got Fournette, but I think Ronald Jones is supposed to be playing, right? Did I hear that is he playing the other running back for Tampa Bay? I think he is. I know they're getting Antonio Brown back, so these guys have had an extra week to recover. I think, man, I really think this could be a close game that comes down to the wire. And if it does, I'm going with Kansas City. This is a case of the guy that is largely considered to be the greatest quarterback of all time, going against the one guy who everyone thinks could be his replacement someday in that conversation. I like Kansas City, but I think I like them only by a few points. The spread is 3. I could see a push. I could see Kansas City winning this by a field goal.
Eli, what you think?
This is going to be tough because there's two sides of this. There's two sides of this coin. One part of me is the conspiracy theory side of this coin.
Dun, dun, dun.
Does the NFL want to place Tom Brady on this pedestal? Because that's it. It almost seems like just. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay professional, unbiased analyst.
But we're not that.
I know that.
we're
not even.
We're amateurs.
Yeah,
we're definitely amateurs by the fan, for the fan. We are fanatics.
Yes, we're not journalists. We're just dudes talking sports.
Listen, I want to say this: we are not just fans. We are fanatics.
Yeah.
That we have literally taken a day out of the week and done this 94 times, talking about sports, coming together
for free.
Yeah,
for free.
hey, pay the man. But yeah, this is what I have to say about this. When it comes to head-to-head, offense versus defense, defense versus offense, the key to victory for Tampa Bay is somehow putting Patrick Mahomes on his back.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes has only been sacked 22 times this year. That's a little more than once a game. I don't even want to pull up DeShaun Watson's sacks this year. I can guarantee you it is at least 5 times more than that. And he still does amazing. But I mean, it's one of those things that when you look at Kansas City, Scottie D said this last week. He said that they just seem polished. I disagree entirely. The majority of what Kansas City does is not polished. It's almost like you're looking at backyard 7-on-7, just throw the ball out there, and you just happen to have the fastest guy or guys on your team, because not only does most of the plays that they have Patrick Mahomes outside of the pocket and just doing some amazing stuff, and the defense breaks down, and then next thing you know, now you're chasing this little dude that runs a 4.2 40 and that cheetah, and he didn't cut this guy. His ankles is broken over here just looking at him, and next thing you know, he's 50 yards down the field. I know it's drawn up that way, but and I love it. I love the fact that it's just innovative. But one of the things is that it's usually after some dude's in the backfield and they done missed Patrick Mahomes. He done eluded him. Now he's over here. And then the coverage breaks down. And then and that happens way too often. Even when they're down, they find a way to do some type of play like that. I love the fact that one of the plays they ran, like the little was a shovel pass. It wasn't even a shovel pass. It was an underhand toss to Travis Kelce, pulling in the middle on the goal line for a touchdown.
Very polished play. Very polished looking play.
It's one of those things where I'm pretty sure it's drawn up. and the receivers know how to react when Patrick Mahomes is out of the pocket, and it's like they're on the same wavelength. But if Tampa Bay can find a way to make the initial sack before all that stuff starts to happen, Tampa Bay has a very good chance of stopping them.
To your point, though, to your point, not knocking Mahomes down does help neutralize that speed, and that could be where this game is won, because we saw how good Tampa's front four looked in the previous game against Buffalo, against a quarterback that liked to run, and they gave him fits all day. So, I mean,
you mean
against Green Bay? Yeah, they gave Rodgers some fits. Or So yeah, that the trenches could be the deal. But again, I mean, like you said, Mahomes only got sacked 22 times. That's not a whole lot this year. So, and some of that's with his speed too. You know, being elusive back there. So, but with the speed that Kansas City has, you can't guard those guys too long. You got to get at Mahomes, because if they get the extra steps to work their way free, see ya. Those guys are too quick, and it turns into a track meet.
Yeah, I think the key to victory is going to be between both teams. Which team's defense can get the upper hand on the opposing team's offensive line. If you look at Kansas City, Eric Fisher, he tore his Achilles and he's done for, he won't be back. And then another lineman went down too. But as we see during the game against Buffalo, they put two guys in, plug and play, and it didn't stop anything from the looks of it. So I think when it comes to this game, the battle will be won. It's going to come down to who wants it more in the trenches between the offensive line and the defensive lines.
Yeah, it could very well go that way. It could also go 53-50. That wouldn't surprise me either with these quarterbacks. Brady having an extra week off, I think is going to be very beneficial to him. I mean, they've been playing a lot of games. They haven't had a bye week in forever that I can remember. So, yeah, I think I think both of these quarterbacks just bring too much to the table to let the game get away from them. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah. I mean, Kansas City has proven time and time again that no lead is ever safe for them. And with Tampa Bay, I mean, well, I won't say Tampa Bay. I'll say Tom Brady. He had the greatest ever comeback in Super Bowl history. 28-3, never forget. Come on. Really?
And I think we could probably both. I think we can all agree that right now, currently, Patrick Mahomes is, as of today, a better quarterback. Right? I mean, he's younger, stronger. I mean,
yeah.
When you're evaluating strictly on today, but Brady just makes Tampa Bay feel like they belong there. I think that's having that confidence, and Brady does belong. He's there all the time. He's bringing these guys along with him, and I think I think Tampa's coming in with some swagger, I think.
Yep, absolute facts. And think about it. The 55th edition of the Super Bowl, they got an extra home game.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people are speaking to that notion that Tampa Bay has an extra home game. I beg to differ. Isn't it? Because when you think of a home game, you think you have home crowd, home field advantage. There's slight advantages, but the crowd is not going to be pro Tampa Bay. It's going to be Super Bowl is elite of the elite. Only the top dollar people get there because I can't afford it.
Well, not only that, but there's going to be less people in the stands this year than under any other normal year.
Yeah.
Where I think under ordinary non-COVID circumstances, that would be a bigger advantage for Tampa Bay. But the fact is, there's just not going to be a capacity crowd down there all wearing Buccaneers gear.
Right, and so. Even and on top of that, but one thing that Tampa Bay does have the advantage of because of COVID this year, Kansas City won't be allowed to travel until 2 days before the Super Bowl. So that's a nuance right there that could affect a lot of things. You haven't even gotten the jet lag off, and then you're getting ready for. And of course, once you get there, it's nothing but interviews, more interviews. And then boom, Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're not having the typical media week and all that stuff. that like you ordinarily would. So some of those distractions may not be there that you ordinarily would have. I mean, it could be working Kansas City's favor too, that they're going to be sleeping in their own bed all week instead of, going in sleeping in a hotel earlier. I don't know. I don't think the travel thing is going to be too much of an issue. I don't foresee that being a big factor. These guys are all used to that. I mean, Kansas City barely loses at all the last couple of years, and they travel plenty. So I think when it comes down to it, I'm going with the Chiefs 20-17, we'll say.
Final score, be live. What you got?
I'm going Kansas City Chiefs 49-28.
Wow. And a stomping.
I think it's going to be high scoring, and also I just think that Kansas City just has too much speed. It's ridiculous. Like, it's one of those things. Tampa Bay is great against the run. They had the number one rushing defense in the league, but they were 21st in the league in passing defense. Yeah, boy, what do you think Kansas City does well? They throw that rock. They rarely run the ball through the trenches, but even with that, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is able to do that as well. But the reason why they drafted him was his ability to catch the ball out in the open, which everybody on their team is able to do. So I don't think it's going to be close. I really don't. I think that Tampa Bay is going to have issues just stopping Kansas City.
I'm thinking of 40-36 Kansas City.
All right, so there we have it. Buccaneers are locked to win now. We all three went the other way.
Yeah, because we have just not believed in Tampa Bay
we've been picking against them for a while now. So, yeah, Tom Brady getting another crack at it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that, like I said, what did I say last week about Ty Bowles, fellas? He has his hands full on trying to figure out what to do against Kansas City Chiefs. They're getting Sammy Watkins back. Oh, man, it's going to be tough sledding for Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, and all them too. All right, fellas, so that out the way, guess what? Football season, it ain't quite over yet. We talking about the quarterback carousel. And the season's damn near over. Let's enter this quarterback carousel talking. It is a turning. He stopped in weeks. Down in Houston, DeShaun Watson formally requests trade. We got the Texans balking. We got the coach said the new coach, the reason he said I came here is because of DeShaun Watson, and I want him here. And DeShaun Watson has taken anything Houston and Texas off his Twitter account. And then we got a whole situation about Aaron Rodgers. Will he return? Is he going to be back? Is he or is he ain't? But the headline of all this, we have the trade that went down between Jared Goff and Matt Stafford. The Rams get Matt Stafford, and in return, the Lions get Goff, a 2021 third-round draft pick, and a 2022 and a 2023 first-round draft picks, a bucket of chicken, a pack of Black & Miles, a parking pass, and a Planet Fitness gym membership. Fellas, who got over and who got hosed in this trade?
Let's start off by this. Is Matthew Stafford that good at a really bad organization? Because I've seen glimpses of him being a good quarterback. I've not seen him be an elite quarterback. What the Rams gave up to get Matthew Stafford is elite status. 2 first rounds, third round, and you're arguably your already franchise quarterback that you basically just gave up on. Not saying, yes, Stafford is a little bit better than Goff, but not 2 first round picks. Better. They both were number 1 draft picks, by the way. Let me throw that out there. I can't sit here and say that the Rams don't know what they're doing, because they've been actually very successful the past few years with giving up their. I think the last time that the Rams had the first round draft pick was back in 2016. They've traded away their number 1 draft pick. Probably now effectively all the way into 2023. So maybe they know how to find talent, because they keep competing. They've been to the Super Bowl. They've been to the playoffs, and especially with them in one of the toughest divisions in all of football, the NFC West. So they're able to compete and everything. It's interesting to see this move and to give up what they've given up. Because they already didn't have the first round pick this year. Now they gave up their third round pick this year and the first round pick in 2022 and 2023. So, man, this is a case of they really believe in who they have, and can they keep that core together? On the defensive side, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. On the offensive side, Cooper Kupp and
Robert Woods.
Who's that running back?
Cam Akers. Mm-hmm.
Cam Akers. Yeah. Young. He showed promise. So it'd be very interesting to see if Matt Stafford can live up. Because at this point in time, what the Rams gave up for Matt Stafford, man, the weight of the world is on his shoulders. Bruh, you got to produce, and you got to produce.
And they're in win now mode. Scottie D, what you think?
They are definitely all in on this, but it shows that they have completely lost all their confidence in Jared Goff. And from what I heard, it seemed to stem from a game they lost at the end of November at home to the 49ers, and Nick Mullins, I think, was their quarterback. And I think at that sense, Sean McVay felt that they had gone as far as they were going to go with Jared Goff, that he's peaked. So if they have the number one defense in the league right now, and they have all those weapons we just talked about on offense, and they don't think that this quarterback is good enough to get them to the promised land, then maybe this trade was not bad for the Rams. I think they probably gave up a little bit too much by going a first rounder twice. I mean, that's a lot, because every year teams look to replenish their talent pool in the draft, and the first round is always very important. But that's why I'm saying they're all in right now. As far as the Lions go, I think this is a fantastic move for them, because they're getting back those picks, and they're getting a quarterback who maybe needs a change of scenery. Maybe with a new, fresh head coach, he starts to flourish in Detroit. And if not, they can get past that next year. They give him a look for a year, and if he's not trending the way they want to, shoot, they got an abundance of picks now to go get their quarterback of the future, and he won't be a huge cap hit after next year. If they release him or trade him this year, then that would hurt him. And I don't know the exact numbers, guys. I'm a fan, not a stats guy when it comes to that.
Yep.
But he'll be less taxing on their books after the 21 season. So I think the Lions did themselves. I think they did a good job on this, by getting a potential quarterback, and if not, we move on. We get another one, and at the same time, Stafford needed out of there. He wanted out of there. I almost think of Stafford kind of like maybe like Mike Trout in baseball. He's not quite the level of Trout, but he's just a really good player on a bad team that we don't really watch that often. I don't watch a lot of Angels games. The only time I really watch Detroit play is if they play a team I'm rooting for, or it's Thanksgiving. So how good is Matthew Stafford really? I mean, he has great numbers every year. This year, his numbers were actually only slightly better than Goff's. I mean, he was what Stafford threw for 26 touchdowns to 10 picks. Goff threw for 20 and 13. So I think he's an upgrade. I really do. And if you really believe in him, and if he's as good as we think that he could be in a different system with that brilliant offensive mind, and McVay was good enough to get them to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. If he has his right guy, the Rams are right back into contention next year with him running that offense and having that defense come back.
Now, I agree with with him probably needing to change the scenery, that being Matt Stafford, and that's just simply because he's done all that he's possibly could in Detroit with what he has, and how Detroit has been bumbling, stumbling, and fumbling these past 10, 15 years with talent, and this is another classic case of having good talent but can't turn it around to results on the field. With him going to LA, it's a change of scenery. You got a running back you ain't got to worry about. You got Robert Woods, you got Cooper Kupp, and like you said, you got Sean McVay as an offensive guru. So he should do nothing but flourish. And if their defense is intact, I'll say this: the Rams will win a division next year. They will do that.
Yeah, and his salary cap numbers aren't going to kill the Rams either. I mean, he's not as expensive as Goff's contract, so maybe that's what the Rams are feeling too. We get rid of that contract, that albatross, and also there were some rumors. We don't really know about what was going with behind the scenes stuff between Jared Goff and Sean McVay. Some personal life stuff we heard about. Maybe there was an irreparable rift between the two, and it just had to be done this way.
I'm tired of looking in your face. You got to go, and you know why.
Right.
That's exactly what it sounds like. All right, fellas, this mess in Houston. What in the hell is going on in a 281?
When you're essentially your two best players that this organization has ever seen and had, the amount that they have done for the community and during the hurricane and relief and stuff like that, and just who they are as people, when not only DeShaun Watson, but also it'd have been one thing if it was just DeShaun Watson, but also JJ Watt wants out of Houston. There is a glaring problem in that organization. And we talked about it a little bit, like they tried to appease Watson with their head coaching hire, even to the point where the head coach himself was like, I came here to coach DeShaun Watson. Let's start off by this. I'm going to go ahead and warn you ahead of time. Eddie Cool, get the dump button ready. Bull. You didn't come there to coach DeShaun Watson. You came there because you're a 65-year-old head coach with no offensive or defensive coordinating background. You came there because you know what? I'm gonna say it. If you think I'm wrong, you can edit it out. They hired this man solely. This was an affirmative action hire. They thought if they hired a black man, they would be able to appease DeShaun Watson. I honestly, God, I think this is the most condescending hire I have ever seen.
Then why didn't they hire
Bieniemy?
Life?
There it is.
Please.
Maybe Bieniemy's not a good interview.
From inside sources, I've literally looked into it before I did my video this past week. People they say that he interviews well, he coaches well. Something.
If he doesn't interview well, they're not going to say that.
Maybe, but something just I don't know.
Bieniemy might not be a yes man. He might have some balls, and he might be able to stand up to the GM and the owner. And because if you look at some situations, some, not all, there's a relationship between the coach and the general manager. For example, Scottie D, you're probably going to agree or disagree. You're probably going to hate this, but I'm going to be real. Jerry Jones hires a bunch of yes men because the last man that stood up to Jerry Jones was Jimmy Johnson, and then we saw how that turned out.
Yeah,
8-6 he got him up out of here like yesterday's trash. So a lot of these organizations, they try to get guys that, okay, we want you to fit something. We're going to fit something. Well, it's like this. I got to coach a football team. You got to get me the players, so we got to meet in the middle. Not this, well, I'm going to be a yes man, and I'm going to lick your boots, and I'm going to be a puppy dog and rub up against your leg and want attention. Nah, the coach going to coach the football team. The GM's going to GM the team. But let's meet in the middle, and let's have a successful organization. That's what successful organizations do. Not this mess in Houston, like the mess in Dallas. It's an absolute mess, and it really doesn't make any sense. Scottie D, what you think about this mess in Houston?
I'm not 100% sure DeShaun Watson's going to go anywhere else next year. I know he's formally said, I want to be traded, and there's definitely going to be a lot of interest. But now that we've seen this other trade and see what the price tag is for Matthew Stafford, 2 number 1 picks, I mean, are other teams going to be able to give that up? Will they be willing to give that up and take on that giant contract? I mean, remember, DeShaun Watson was not happy when they traded off Hopkins, but then he still signed that extension right after that. Am I right on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he did that afterward. So he was willing to take the money, and that team wants him. It's not like they don't want him. I'm not 100% sure that they're that he's in another uniform next year. I mean, signs seem to be pointing that way, but I'm still kind of I'll believe it when I see it kind of thing with him.
Yeah. Let me make something perfectly clear. When a player signs a contract for X amount of years for X amount of dollars, that's not signing loyalty to a team. That's putting money in your pocket.
I understand that. But still, that organization said, here, we want to commit to you and you commit to us. And he said, okay. He didn't say, let's wait and see how this season plays out. Yeah, he committed to them.
Then this season,
he did not commit to them. He committed to the almighty dollar sign. This was right after Patrick Mahomes got that ridiculous because here's the thing. You can try and roll the dice in the National Football League and go into free agency and hope somebody offers you a $40 million a year contract, barring any type of injury or anything like that. Or you can see the $40 million in front of you and be like, yes. And the way that his contract was structured, it wasn't a big 10-year deal like Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes said yes, Kansas City Chief for life, and
basically did the same thing.
DeShaun Watson, his contract, he did it for 5 years with a no trade clause. Basically, he wrote his own ticket, and now the no trade clause comes into effect because now he wants out. But he also wants to dictate where he goes. He's like, New York Jets,
right?
Even though,
but he doesn't have the right to do that because he signed a commitment, so he can sit there all he wants and say, "I want to go to the Jets," or "I want to go to the Dolphins," or to the Washington football team. But unless Houston says, "Okay, we're going to honor that request," he's still committed to them, and that's why I think it's possible he ends up playing for them again next year.
I think that relationship is severed, even though you keep hearing from the GM that they have no interest in trading him. And that is the unfortunate part of the contract, because it's not like he has 1 year or 2 years remaining. He has 4 years remaining on that contract. And if he decides, I'm not going to play, he going to catch some severe fines. But I don't know. It's one of those things where I think the Texans can get a heck of a lot to trade him away and rebuild, because you're not going to get. I don't think you're going to get the best product out of DeShaun Watson.
Oh yeah, you will. That kid's got too much character. He's not going to sit out and not play, and he's not going to half-ass it either. Once these guys actually get pads on, they're not going to. At least this guy's not going to do that.
Here's the thing. I've never seen this side of DeShaun Watson. The fact that he wants out. And here's another caveat to this. A couple caveats, actually. It wasn't DeShaun Watson that released this to the media that he wanted out. It was the Texans organization that released that DeShaun Watson wanted out, which is almost, which bears there's a lot of meaning to that. It's simply like, okay, we want the public to know that DeShaun Watson wants out, and da-da-da-da. As opposed to DeShaun Watson being like, yo, people, I'm telling you guys I want out. He never released that to the media. We've been hearing rumors and stuff like that here and there. And so when it came out that DeShaun Watson formally wants a trade, that was a statement from the organization. Yeah, but you just told me they don't want to get rid of him. That's why they hired a black dude.
So they don't really want to get rid of him either.
I guess this whole situation is going to be a wait and see kind of thing, fellas. All right, so we can agree that Aaron Rodgers will be in Green Bay next year.
No doubt.
Is there any doubt?
No.
He's going to win the MVP, and he's going to be there next year. All right, cool. We can
Yeah.
go ahead and put that to rest right now. He's been on social media or was it TikTok or something, driving in the back with somebody's pickup truck with a 12-pack of beer. Hey man, it's the off season. He ain't got nothing to do. He ain't going to the Super Bowl, so you might as well hang out and have fun. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the NFL football talk between the Super Bowl preview and the quarterback carousel, which is ever changing. All right, and we're going to slide into Major League Baseball news. That's right. For the first time in 11 weeks, we're talking about a different sport other than football. And the reason why we're talking about Major League Baseball is because there seems to be a kerfluffle at the Hall of Fame. A big old kerfluffle, that's right. So somehow, some way, they said, you know what? We're not putting anybody in the Hall of Fame this year. And Kurt Schilling says, you know what? He said some expletive words, which I can't repeat on this podcast. He said, but you can pretty much take me off the list because I ain't got time for all this mess. The question I got to ask you, fellas, are the writers making it difficult for deserving players to get in? Scottie D, you go first.
Yeah, I think they have done that traditionally. But when I look at the list this year, all right, and we know that the controversial players are right there at the top of the list. They got the almost, what was it, 75% of the votes is what was needed, and these guys got close to but not good enough. And that's Kurt Schilling, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens. Now we know why Bonds and Clemens names are being not voted on when obviously they're statistically among the best of all times. But then when you look at the rest of the list, Scott Rowland, Omar Vizquel, Billy Wagner, Todd Helton, Andrew Jones, Jeff Kent, some good players in there, guys that probably should be in the Hall of Very Good, but not the Hall of Fame. So,
yeah, especially Scott Rowland.
Yeah, you look at Scott Rowland, he got over 50% of the vote, but Scott Rowland to me was just a guy that was always a really good, solid baseball player. I don't have any memory of like his great Scott Rowland moments. Not that he didn't have any, but he's just a guy that didn't ever jump off the page to me as a Hall of Fame caliber player. I mean, again, he was good, no question about it, but some of these other guys, if you go further down the list, you had Manny Ramirez and Sammy Sosa, other guys that were associated with performance-enhancing drugs, obviously. The problem I have with the Bonds and Clemens thing is, I heard it was put very well by a writer on MLB Network last week. He said if Barry Bonds had ruptured his Achilles prior to the 1998 season and never played again, he would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer because he's the best baseball player he'd ever seen. And I've always said that about Bonds myself. I don't think I've ever seen a better baseball player in my life. And it was only after that he went south with the obviously the body change. He got big. And Roger Clemens is another one who early in his career was blowing guys away and seemed to have benefited from the steroids more of as an extension to his career, and recovery later in his career was able to keep up his numbers, whereas in the past that hadn't really been done that way. To me, these guys are Hall of Famers. I don't know how you say they just weren't good enough to be in. The reason these guys are being kept out is because the writers are saying these guys cheated the game. But if you look at the Hall of Fame, some of the guys who've recently been in there, Pudge Rodriguez, Trevor Hoffman, Jeff Bagwell, Larry Walker, Mike Piazza, Ricky Henderson. Did these guys, were they on steroids? I mean, we don't know. You could probably look at a few of them and definitively say, nah, he didn't do anything. But I remember back in 2010, Jose Canseco said, I know for a fact at least one or two players that are in the Hall of Fame that have done steroids. And that was a year after Ricky Henderson had gotten in there. And Ricky Henderson got a little bit bigger through the years too. He was always thought of as just a singles hitting leadoff guy who would pop the occasional home run. But as time went on, he got a little bit bigger, and he's a guy that was with Canseco out in Oakland. You know what I mean? So, or how do we say, we don't know that those guys did steroids. Jeff Bagwell to me is a guy I always thought was very suspect. He's in the Hall of Fame. If we're letting some of these guys slide without convicting them, how are we keeping Bonds and Roger Clemens out?
Well, this has been my opinion for quite a while. The Hall of Fame has been a popularity contest as opposed to who actually should, like, who deserves to be named as the greats in baseball. What we have here more than anything, and I blame the commissioner, because Manfred as baseball commissioner just
Pretty much
sucks.
Ever since he took office, he's just been
no
sucking
argument
tailpipe.
here.
This would be the prime opportunity to speak up and say, hey, baseball writers, we have condemned these guys for X amount of years. But if you take names like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens out of baseball, you wouldn't have half of the accomplishments that have happened before, after, et cetera, et cetera. People, the writers are saying, oh, well, we don't want to reward people that cheated the game. You already did. I guarantee you. It's just a matter of some people got caught, some people didn't. If this would be that prime opportunity to accept that at that time that these guys played, the game was corrupt. But here's the thing. Yes, these guys use steroids. It was probably so readily available, you could get it for $2.50 at your local Walgreens or Rite Aid or CVS or whatever. Baseball needs to, right now, Commissioner Manfred needs to just come out and say, hey, this era of baseball, yes, we went through this issue with steroids, went through this issue with that, and we're growing from that. But there's not one person right now, especially in our age group, that can sit here and say that, man, the steroid era in baseball was off the chain. I don't care what anybody says. The McGuire-Sosa home run freaking battle that they had, that was one of the, I don't care what anybody says, that was one of the better parts of baseball. I think that, if anything,
it did. It brought it back
baseball.
from the funk of the strike, the World Series.
It sure did.
So yeah, absolutely. So this is the opportunity to check this out. Barry Bonds, before, after, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to keep out your home run
of all
leader.
Time.
I don't care how many steroids you take, you are still hitting a ball thrown by guys that are throwing
who are also on
almost
steroids,
100 miles an hour. And,
yeah. So that's the case.
I.e. Roger Clemens.
Yeah. So that's the case. So that's the case. In you got the pitcher throwing 90 mile an hour gas on that gas, and a guy trying to hit a ball on that gas. So baseball, what the hell are we doing here, baseball? Really? What are we doing? What are we doing, baseball? Like, what are you doing?
Well, here's the thing with doing? Baseball. The writers were given the responsibility of saying these are the best guys who also represented baseball the best. So they're taking it upon themselves to assess what you've done, not just on the field, but off the field too. I mean, and that's why you have guys like Pete Rose not in the Hall of Fame. You know, at some point, I think it has to just be decided what these guys did on the field. And we don't know how often these guys did steroids. You know, I know that might sound a little bit weak for me to say it that way, because we do know that some of these guys were guilty, but I think the judgment needs to be removed from. I mean, if we're going to be starting to judge guys off the field, we're going to get to a point where it's going to be hard to get anybody in, because we're in the day and the age of the cell phone camera. And, you know, I mean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You tweeted something 15 years ago.
Right. And that brings us.
Now you're out of a job.
That's kind of what brings us to Curt Schilling now. I mean, Curt Schilling's a guy who never got into any kind of trouble and didn't do anything wrong under, you know, personally, except he's been very political online and that kind of stuff. And he's very opinionated. Now, his numbers are borderline Hall of Fame anyway. But are these guys keeping him out because they don't think he's worthy, or because they don't like him for some of the things he's said on Twitter? You know,
I can tell you exactly what it is. The what you just said, just because of what he said on Twitter and him being outspoken. And fellas, we had a conversation about this last week because, ladies and gentlemen, we do talk, other than just on the podcast. As I said, if you gonna do this to Kurt Schilling, then you might as well snatch Ty Cobb's ugly, dusty, dirty, funky, racist ass up out of there too. You might as well snatch him up out of there too. If we gonna do this, if we're not gonna look at stats, but look at off the field behavior, then snatch Ty Cobb ass out of there too.
Well, back in that era, I mean, racism was prevalent. I mean, you got a Hall of Fame, I'm sure, full of guys who weren't shy about dropping N-bombs back then, and probably wouldn't put out the nicest tweets if they were on Twitter today. And can you imagine like the behavior of, Mickey Mantle wasn't exactly the most behaved guy off the field. And I'm sure there's a lot of stories out there that never surfaced that would in today's era. So I think they're a little tough when it comes to trying to be judging as far as personal behavior and stuff goes.
Yeah, it's to the point. Just the play on the field. And these guys, like, I think all three should be in there. Let me put it to you this way, especially, and Eddy Cool, I'm actually thankful that you put that out there about this racism way back in the day and Ty Cobb and all that. Just to show you where baseball has come and what the difference of yesterday and today was. They just allowed the Negro Leagues to count in Major League records this past year. So finally, like we had to create a whole entire different league because y'all wouldn't allow. There was no equality. But now, because you're political about something, you can't get into the Hall of Fame. That is, and I think every writer should be. I'll put them on the stand. Answer these questions as to why. You're sitting behind anonymity, so to speak, where you don't have to answer for why you didn't put this guy in. I think there should be some accountability, and I want you to come full on, and I want you to lie to us in public, because I know you're not going to tell the truth. I want you to lie to us in public. I want you to say that, in my honest opinion, Barry Bonds didn't do enough on the field to be in the Hall of Fame. In my honest opinion, Roger Clemens didn't do enough on the field to get into the Hall of Fame. In my honest opinion, Kurt Schilling didn't do enough to get into the Hall of Fame. You be lying all those three times. You be lying to us. But I actually want to hear it. I want to hear some type of accountability. Kurt Schilling has every right to be pissed, because where Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds did something to affect the game of baseball, I get that part where some people be upset, the integrity of the game. Kurt Schilling did not. He has an opinion that we're all entitled to. As a United States citizen and an American voter, I'm not going to hate the person next to me because he voted for Trump. You are within all of your rights to have your opinion and being very vocal about it. Freedom of speech. Yes, there are consequences to your speech, but the consequences shouldn't be what you did on the baseball field. That's asinine to me. And these writers should be held accountable. They should have to answer to the general public. And Commissioner Manfred, we need to hear a statement from Major League Baseball, because at this point in time, you should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm pretty sure, and don't quote me 100%, but I don't think that Rob Manfred and Major League Baseball have anything to do with that. I think that the Baseball Hall of Fame and Major League Baseball are actually considered two separate entities. So while they may have some slight influence there, I don't think that Rob Manfred can actually do anything when it comes to the Hall of Fame itself, because I don't think that's under Major League Baseball. I think it's a separate entity.
Mm-hmm. No, you're correct on that, but you also, now you're telling me, no, you're not telling me. Let me apologize real quick. If the sport and the leader of the sport doesn't have any influence on the great, like the achievement of making it to the Hall of, like, you as the baseball commissioner, he's got to understand that how this is so detrimental to the sport. Is very detrimental. It's to the point of, like, now you're asking these guys that are on the field, 162 games, traveling for 8 months out of 8 months out of the year, consistently, and now you're asking these guys, they got to sit up straight, they got to clean their nose right, and they got to do this or everything, or we come. This is the opportunity. This is the right here and now to set the record straight. This was a bad time in baseball that we are trying to correct. I want him to say something. Somebody to say something to be like, hey, unfortunately, these guys are disqualified from the Hall of Fame due to this. They haven't made that statement. They're hiding behind a desk and a computer, putting their vote in, and it's the court of public opinion. And I can't stand that court of public opinion.
Well, I think they're starting to be held accountable because Mariano Rivera became the first ever unanimous selection a couple of years ago, and I think that's because they're starting to make these votes public, whereas before these guys wouldn't do it. Matter of fact, there's a guy who voted for Mariano Rivera that was not going to and did because he didn't want to be the only a-hole not to vote for Rivera.
The greatest reliever of all time. Right. I don't want to be that guy. And fellas, speaking of public opinion,
what time it
is? It's time for our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices. And with that being said, hey, yo, Button, hit it.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and ever so lovely Miss Button for introducing our favorite part of the show. You guessed it, the choices of the voices, where we ask you the question and then you give us the answer and then we talk about your answer. Depending on your response, we're going to root with you or we're going to pick at you. Either one of the two, but anything is possible when it comes to the choices of the voices. Scottie D, what's the question for this week's choices of the voices?
In the spirit of the Super Bowl, I asked, when you think of memorable Super Bowl moments, what comes to your mind? Some of the most memorable moments from the biggest game of the year. What did we get there, Eddie? Cool. What do we have?
We got some good ones here. Some very, 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 very good ones. All right. Martin Tracy, the king of paragraph answers. All right. Matty Ice, we love you, baby. We wouldn't have it any other way. So I took time to read all this, and he said the New England Patriots comeback win in the Super Bowl against the Atlanta Falcons after being down 28-3. And he did the dance. He did the stanky leg. And wait a minute, he also gave another one too. He said when he mentioned the Super Bowl victory with Malcolm Butler intercepting the ball at the 1-yard line against the Seattle Seahawks, and that Super Bowl as well too.
Yeah, that one actually, Craig Burns, I think is going with that answer as well, because he actually put a picture of Malcolm Butler jumping that route. And what a great play by Malcolm Butler. I mean, everyone always talks about what a terrible decision that was to not give Marshawn Lynch the ball down there, and I think that is very accurate. But the play by Malcolm Butler was an underrated play. It was a great play. Saved the Super Bowl. Gave Tom Terrific another ring.
Yep. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's Darrell Bevel, who is currently the offensive coordinator in Jacksonville. Yes, Darrell Bevel. Yeah, Darrell Bevel will always live in infamy, as in you should have ran the ball, dumbass.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. All right, moving right along. We got Trey Dizzle. Trey Duke, what's happening, baby? He said, my most memorable moment was the Deion Sanders big catch versus the Steelers in Super Bowl 30.
Woo!
Yes, sir. Tons of others in previous Super Bowls. And in that one, but for some reason, Deion catch stuck in my brain. Oh man, the good old days.
Yeah, that was an exciting play too, because that's Deion. Everything Deion does or did back then commanded excitement. And early in the game, he went straight down the middle of the field, and Aikman found him deep. It wasn't a scoring play, but it was a big play, and that was pretty cool.
Yep, Deion Sanders can do everything, and I'll talk about him later on in Pepper. Yep, good old Deion Sanders. B-Live, don't you think that was a good play? Were you a fan of Deion Sanders, B-Live?
Oh, absolutely, man. Just every time, like any kickoff return or interception, when it was just like you were on the edge of your seat. So yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of Deion, even though he played for two teams I don't like. So, all right, cool. Moving on.
Ow.
Yep. Hey, it must be the money.
Did you just take a swipe at the Cowboys?
Why would you ever think? Why would you ever think of such a thing?
Okay, remember that for later in the show. Carry on, Eddie. Cool.
Oh boy, here we go, guys. I gotta pull you apart virtually with the mask on. All right, we got the big homie Joe Gaffigan. He said the 87-88 season, Super Bowl 22, the Skins were down 10-0. Doug Williams comes back into the game after an injury and lights up the Broncos by throwing 4 touchdowns in the second quarter and leading his beloved Potato Skins to a 42-10 victory. Doug Williams, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, several good moments in that second quarter for him. I remember when he went down, too. He kind of got all twisted, and Jay Schrader came in for like 2 plays, I think, and then Doug Williams came in, and it was over. It was over quick.
Yep, a Grambling State University Tiger, Douglas Williams.
I'm surprised Joe didn't want to go with John Riggins running over the Dolphins in the fourth quarter of that Super Bowl. Another great Washington football team memory.
Yeah, but I guess that Doug Williams, man, it just sticks out.
Or the Gary Premium. That was another good Redskins memory. Remember Gary Premium?
Yeah, where he tried to throw the ball or something, and it got out of his hand, and oh, poor old Garrow. Rest in peace, Garrow. David Ramito, he says James Harrison's pick 6 was pretty sweet. Larry Fitzgerald scoring big, and Holmes toe tap touchdown. What an amazing game! That was a very action-packed and entertaining Super Bowl between the Cardinals and Steelers.
I still look back at that, and how'd
he score?
Yeah.
Well, James, the Harrison pick, he was huffing and puffing after. But I still look back at Santonio Holmes and that toe tap. You can't get any closer to that. He was in the corner. He was just an inch to the left, inch forward, inch to the right. He's out of bounds. That was. And the placement of the ball, it was just all of that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. So that's definitely up there. I will agree.
Fellas, I think if I can find that game on YouTube, because the NFL, they do, they post games from time to time. I'm going to put that on the SportsBros podcast Facebook like page, which you should go like right now if you're listening. We got all kind of good stuff on there as well too. All right, as we mentioned before, Craig Burns, he said the Malcolm Butler game-sealing INT, Patriots, Seattle Seahawks, Super Bowl 49, terrible Pete Talansky. He put up a graphic asking somebody, one of these Patriot fans, how they felt about Eli 2 times as the Giants beat the then undefeated New England Patriots in Super Bowl 42.
That David Tyree catch was a memorable moment. We actually put that picture on our page. That, to me, that's one of the memorable moments in Super Bowl history, a guy catching the ball on his head.
Yeah.
How did Eli Manning avoid a sack?
Unbelievable.
He almost got killed.
He was like, jersey all torn to pieces. Grabbed. Where's you going?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And then Craig Burns, that I was like, Eddie Cool mentioned earlier in Pepper, run the damn ball.
Darrell Bevel, ladies and gentlemen. Darrell Bevel. Jacksonville. Yeah. That's your dude. That's your guy. Urban Meyer. Yeah, I don't know if Darrell Bevel's still there, but yeah, Urban Meyer. That's your dude to handle right there. Make sure he doesn't F it up for you. Okay, because he'll do it for you. He'll run it down the leg if you let him. That he will. Uncle Max had one for us, fellas. Okay, here we go. There he is. Uncle Max. He said, hungover Max McGee scores the first touchdown in Super Bowl history. He didn't expect to play, but was put in because Boyd Dollar was injured. The Pack went on to win Super Bowl I, defeating the Chiefs.
Boy, we've come a long way from Super Bowl I, where you just go out and booze the night before, huh?
Right.
Long way.
And I'm gonna go ahead and mention this. Uncle Max, we tried.
Oh man, here we go.
I
was going to sidestep it this week, but here you go, B-Lives.
We try our best not to pick on you on every episode. But this one, you wrote this. You left the door open. Nobody that listens to the Sports Bros podcast remembers Super Bowl I. You were the only.
Why'd you have to go there, B-Lives?
I'm sorry.
Uncle Max, I promise. With a tear in my eye, in the words of Ric Flair, Royal Rumble speech, Uncle Max, it's all love, man.
I promise.
He's a historian. He's a historian. I love having Uncle Max on board here.
Absolutely. I was just like, oh, God. When I was reading through it, I said, oh, God.
The hell with Google. I'm going to Uncle Max.
Right.
Damn that.
Oh, man. But, yeah, memorable. Hey, Uncle Max, we're glad that you remember those moments, man. Oh,
I think Uncle Max is a day one listener, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Uncle Max is a day one listener. He goes into the Sports Bros podcast Listener Hall of Fame.
Yeah. By far. Unanimous selection.
Yeah, we're not gonna be like baseball and you like Alabama, so we're not gonna put you in and we're not gonna take the boo boo. Oh, we could have went. Just let you know, listeners. We're gonna tell you how the sausage is made right fast. Of course, as you know, we record Monday for Tuesday, and of course, and something else you didn't know, we record the show in two parts. After we finished our Cooperstown conversation, we could have gone on for another 10 minutes. But guess what? We got a show to give y'all. All right. And with that being said, shout out to Terrible Pete, Craig Burns, David, Romito, Joe Gaffigan, Uncle Max, Trey Dizzle, Martin Tracy for their contribution to this week's Choices of the Voices. Be live, Super Bowl memory. Go.
I'm going to have you naked by the end of this song. Super Bowl 38.
Oh.
My beloved Carolina Panthers versus the New England Patriots. I know that, it's not football related, but Janet Jackson's team. Come on, man. Who doesn't remember that? Who doesn't remember that? Boy, the FCC won't let
me be.
I think I'm not even gonna lie to you. I think that's the first time I've ever heard of the FCC because they came out in full force when it's a wardrobe malfunction. No, that ain't nothing malfunction about that. They meant to do exactly what they did. They wanted to show a titty, but in reference to that lyric. Come on. Anybody that has any type of common sense knows that wasn't a malfunction. And we all thank you for it. And John Casey, why'd you kick the ball out of bounds? I still hate Tom Brady to this day. Oh, my God, John Casey,
you just had
and
one.
Adam Ethan Vinatieri, yeah, I said that. I still don't like you to this day. But, yeah, that's my most memorable Super Bowl moment.
I thought you were going to say Cam Newton not diving for the fumble when he fumbled.
You see it? Why are you bringing up old stuff?
I was going to omit that until you took a swipe at the Cowboys earlier, so there you go.
I tell you, boy, you jug.
We had that in the chamber, boy. Yeah, you dirty rat. I got something for you. I got you. I got your money. All right, Scottie D, where you at? What's your favorite, fondest Super Bowl?
Well, it's not necessarily my fondest, but one of the most memorable ones is Leon Lett getting tracked down by Don Beebe when he was rolling down the sideline. He got to the 2-yard line, started hot dogging, and for some reason pulled the ball down to his side of his leg, and Beebe knocked it out of bounds. That one didn't kill me that bad because the Cowboys destroyed Buffalo in that game. That didn't really cost them. I'll always remember the Scott Norwood kick against the Bills as one of the most memorable moments, and John Taylor's catch from Joe Montana to beat the Bengals. But for me personally, Larry Brown picking off Neil O'Donnell for the second time, that's my memory, baby. That's my one.
Yep. And for some strange reason, Neil O'Donnell thought Larry Brown was on the same team.
I thank him for that.
And just for the listeners out there, it was actually very tough for the Money Man Scottie D to remember at any moment from the Super Bowl because it's been.
Here we go.
It's been.
It just killed you when I threw that Cam Newton dig at it, and it was so good when I did. It just killed you.
I could have left stuff alone, but you had to come with something.
I nailed you on that one.
He had to go 2-1. He had to go 2-1.
I'm saying at least mine was recent history. Yours is ancient, not as ancient as see Brian. Be live. Stop it. Behave. Uncle Max, we love you.
Eddie, what's your
Eddie
moment?
Cool.
Let's get away from Be Live. What's your moment, Eddie?
You too. You guys are my Super Bowl moment. How you love that? No, one of my most favorite Super Bowl moments involved a play that came down to the last minute of Super Bowl 38. You had Steve McNair and a Tennessee/Houston Oilers driving down the field against the St. Louis Rams, only for Tennessee to come up short as time expired 1 yard short. Kevin Dyson catches a pass over the middle and gets stopped on the final play of the game by St. Louis linebacker Mike Jones. Who? Mike Jones. Who? Mike Jones.
Gutty performance by Steve McNair in that Super Bowl too. I was rooting for him to come back and win that one.
I miss him. I really do. Like I miss him. I was reading some stuff about him the other day, man. I wish out of the guys that you wish would have won a Super Bowl, Aaron McNair should have won one. But that was the most heart-wrenching, most memorable moments of all Super Bowls. I watched a few and that was just sticks. I'm like, oh man, a clutch play is like a clutch play on one side and heartbreak on the other. You've seen a wide range of emotions. So that's my standout Super Bowl memory. And with that being said, Scottie D, what's the question for next week's choices of the?
All right, we're going to broaden the horizon here from football to any sport. You can still go football if you want. The question I'm going to ask is, what team won their respective championship game or series in any sport that most surprised you? Talking about like a Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson kind of thing, or you were just like, man, I can't believe that happened. But we're going to talk about team here. You can go to March Madness, you can go to the Super Bowl, you can go to the NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals, anything that decided the championship that surprised you the most. What team surprised you the most by winning their respective championship? And again, not necessarily talking about the whole year, like a team you thought, well, we didn't expect them to be any good. We're talking about the actual championship game, the finals, the Super Bowl, college football, national championship, March Madness, any of that. So, team that surprised you by winning the championship.
All right, and that is the question for next week's edition of Choices of the Voices. Fellas, guess what? It's February, and guess what next month is? It's March, so we might have us a March Madness tournament. Yes!
Come on, baby. Getting close.
Yeah. Come on, coronavirus, at your funky ass. Stay away from here.
Does Duke, North Carolina, or Kentucky make it in?
Well, you
Blue
remember?
Buds.
Yeah. Well, you remember what we said last season before the world went crazy. It ain't easy being number one, and apparently it ain't easy being a blue blood because God, it is some tough sledding for the usual suspects. With that being said, it's the go home. With that being said, fellas, I'm giving myself the go home cue because I got some delicious smelling soup downstairs waiting for me. And with that being said, another round of Pepper 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really. You're going to learn something. We're going to make you laugh. Try not to cry, but overall enjoy it. And guess what, fellas? I ain't got no history facts for the first time in about 20 episodes. Can you believe that?
What you got to say.
All right, and I'll go first. Now, as we mentioned, Matt Stafford was taking offers from everybody. He said, I'll go anywhere. Oh, I'll just go by anywhere, anything to get me the hell out of Detroit, Michigan, except for one place. Fellas, any idea where Matt Stafford did not want to go?
It's cold.
Anybody?
It's cold.
Yeah, it's cold. It's very cold. Detroit can get cold, but it's cold in this part of the country too because I've lived there.
Was it somewhere that Tom Brady used to play?
Yes. Yes, you are right. Ding, 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 ding. Matt Stafford say, I'll go anywhere except for the New England Patriots. This kind of reminds me of the song by Meatloaf, I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that. Or Hall & Oates, I'll do anything you want me to, but I can't do that. No can do. The reason being, Matt Stafford will not take his behind to the New England Patriots. 2 words. Well, 4 words. Dusty ass Matt Patricia. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to go back neither. You know what? I understand you, Matt Stafford. I understand where you're coming from. This is kind of like a relationship because this man, Matt Patricia, wasted some good years of your life. Only for y'all to meet back up again at another work function and expect y'all to work together. I wish I would go back. I wish I would go back because if I were to go back, I'm signing a contract to stare a hole in the side of his head and make him real uncomfortable. And if he breathes wrong, that's it. I ain't got no time for this mess. But with that being said, Matt Stafford is now over in sunny California, and he ain't got to worry about freezing to death over in Foxborough. Over to Scottie D.
Future Hall of Famer and former Dallas Cowboy Jason Witten has called it a career. Again, for the second time. He will finish number 4 all-time in receptions in NFL history, number 2 on the tight end list behind Tony Gonzalez. He called it. He said last Wednesday he was going to wrap it up. He's going to sign a one-day contract with the Cowboys and officially retire. He is going to become the head coach of the Liberty Christian High School in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I think that's awesome. When some of these pro guys go back and do high school things like that, man, I can't wish him anything but good luck. And Jason Witten, classy guy, hardcore player, future Hall of Famer. Gonna miss you, Jason. Best of luck. Over to you, Be Live.
Well. Let's congratulate Jason Witten for retiring again, and best of luck to him. And yeah, let's go to the NBA real quick because surprise, a team in the Western Conference where they don't play jazz music in Utah is surprisingly leading the Western Conference. I believe they're actually leading all of basketball, and they had a nice little hot 11-game win streak, which came to an end when they faced Nikola Jokic and leading the team with 47 points, and the Denver Nuggets decided to end that win streak. Utah has been a very pleasant surprise, and I hope that any team from the Western Conference can dethrone the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, I'm still hating on any team that Scottie D, the money man, roots for, and I'm going to continue that all throughout the season.
Contact.
Eddie Cool.
That really hit deep this week.
Eddie Cool, the ball.
Wow, yeah, the first cut is the D. Oh man, you guys are too much. This is why I do this. I Me, yeah, but I do this for y'all, man. I do this for the camaraderie, the trash talk, the back and forth. It's stuff I live for, really. I do. All right, my second pepper point goes out to a gentleman that we mentioned earlier, Prime Time, Deion Sanders, or as he would have you call him, just call me Coach Prime, baby. Yeah, just call me Coach Prime. My Jerry Curl is dry. Yes, the charismatic one himself, Deion Sanders. He always alluded to him wanting to be in the coach, and he finally got his job last year when he was named the head coach at the HBCU, Jackson State University, way down in Mississippi. All right. So, like I said, it's in a historic black college university. This is Deion Sanders' first ever coaching gig. There's a lot of excitement surrounding this as well, too. And guess what, fellas?
What?
The season kicks off February the 21st against the Tigers of Edward Waters University. So let's see what old Coach Prime can do. Let's see if he can make some players and some star makers and some junior baby prime times and bring them to the next level. So yeah, Coach Prime. I wonder if that'll have anything to do with him filming his Subway commercials, because Deion's getting all kind of checks between Tostitos and Subway. So, let's hope this don't interrupt the money.
Right, Prime Time's playing in February, coaching in February, huh?
Yep. Yes, the what is it? The FC, FCS. I think a lot of FCS schools elected to play spring football. Okay. Yeah, and it in the XFL, but
good. All right, I will root for Prime Time, no doubt. Last week we had to say goodbye to former Temple coach John Chaney. He passed away last week after retiring in 2006. He finished his career with 741 wins, 312 losses. He won the Division II national championship with Chaney State. Chaney State's a Division II school in Pennsylvania. And 10 years later, he had his best team at Temple when Mark Macon led Temple Owls to the Elite Eight in 1988. They won 32-2 that year. I always think of John Chaney, for when he had that little run-in with Coach Calipari at the press conference, which was kind of that was probably not his most shining moment. But Coach Chaney always looked like, when you saw him on the sideline, he looked like a guy who had just got done with a long day at the office. Just looked like a tired, disheveled guy who's out there grinding and working hard. But class act, John Chaney, rest in peace. Over to you, B Live.
He was intense. He was intense.
Yeah, yes, he was. All right. The Atlanta Braves. Oh, my beloved Fear to Chop on. Yes, sir. The Atlanta Braves, they add Chipper Jones to their coaching staff, albeit is a part-time position, but they bring him on as a hitting consultant. And I don't think there's too many people in the history of the Atlanta Braves outside of the late, great Hank Aaron that would do a better job as a hitting consultant than Chipper Jones. And I'm excited because Atlanta did great things this past year. It's going to do even greater things this year. Bring on baseball. Let's go. Eddy Cool. The ball.
All right, going down the middle. Oh, I caught that one-handed grab over center field. All right, so here we go. As most of you may know, who either know us personally or interact with us, on a regular basis, all three of us are huge wrestling fans. Yes, we love wrestling. We grew up with it. Scottie D, he grew up in the Hulkamaniac era. Me and B Live grew up in the WCW Attitude era. Either way, we still love wrestling. But it's been stinking up the joint as of late. But we did have one bright spot last night where the WWE, you finally got it right. And with that being said, shout out to Bianca Belair for winning the 2021 Women's Royal Rumble. She beat out 29 other minutes, and she lasted a whopping 56 minutes and 42 seconds. And she was the third entry of the night. Stamina, endurance, toughness. Bianca Belair has an interesting story. She battled depression. She had an eating disorder, but she overcame everything, and she's a top-notch, world-class athlete, and she's a former South Carolina Gamecock as well, too. Shout out to Bianca Belair. WWE, you got it right with the women's Royal Rumble, but the men's, not as much. Over to you, Scottie D.
On the men's side. Yeah. All right. Two goodbyes here in the Pittsburgh area this past week. Patricia Rooney, the wife of the late Dan Rooney, passed away. And as you guys know, the Rooneys are a very integral part of Western Pennsylvania. Not all ownership groups are kind of woven into the fabric of the community, quite like the Rooney family are. So sad goodbye to Patricia Rooney. And also, this was kind of unexpected, but the general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Jim Rutherford, stepped down last week, citing personal reasons. I don't know at this point. I haven't heard much about whether there was any kind of health issues or whether there was just something going on in the organization. Nonetheless, Jim Rutherford left. He came to the Penguins with a Stanley Cup on his resume from the Carolina Hurricanes. And after serving as GM for the Pittsburgh Penguins, he's leaving 2 Stanley Cups on the shelf behind with him. So a big thank you and farewell and best of luck to Jim Rutherford, former general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Over to you, Be Live.
That guy was a winner everywhere he went.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Let me finish this off, this little Pepper situation with Tom Brady. Tom Brady is now reported that he would like to play until he's 45.
He ain't got nothing else better to do.
And he's close.
Man. Man, this is your 10th Super Bowl. Your 10th Super Bowl. You've won 6. Chance of winning a 7th, which is unprecedented and untouched. And he wants to continue. Oh, my goodness. I was almost looking forward to you losing the Super Bowl and then drifting off into the sunset. That we have conversations about you in the future, especially whoever will replace you and da-da-da. And Tom Brady, when you get into the Hall of Fame, you're definitely unanimous from first ballot. Unlike what's going on in baseball Hall of Fame right now, you had to jug at that. But hey, Tom Brady, you know what? You're in a position and a place where you get to do exactly what you want to do. And side note, I didn't like the fact that you would sully Eddy Cool, sully Bianca Belair's name. I did not know that she went to the University of Columbia.
Sully my ass. What's wrong with you?
Well, but
you know what? I'm gonna come up with just like you got all roads lead to Dabo. Well, Willie B is a place to be.
Oh wow, that was corny.
Yes, sir.
But then she ran just as quickly from the track and field program at South Carolina to Texas A&M, and then she completed her college career at University of Tennessee. Well,
that's okay.
Good old Rocky.
Oh my God. I almost hit him, but that's okay because Asia Wilson has a statue outside of the University of South Carolina. A whole statue. Yeah,
you also have a statue of a bronze bird with no talons. Okay, cool.
I can't wait. I can't wait to play all Dirty Dogs next year. I know we're gonna be bad. Shane Beamer gonna get us together, and y'all got hell to pay.
Yeah, right. All right. Yeah, that'll do it. Yes, sir.
Got me over here aggravated and stuff. Yeah, you better. All right, ladies and gentlemen. With that being said, it's been another edition of Pepper. We all 3 got our peppers in. This has been a very spirited edition of Pepper, fellas. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about everything. I'm feeling good. Cannot complain. And with that being said, that wraps it up for another episode of the Sports Bros podcast, episode number 94. And as always, thank you for listening. But before we go, Scottie D,
you can find me shoveling snow here in Western Pennsylvania. And that's pretty much it. Maybe Trinity High School. I might be heading to Trinity High School, do a little work up there. Yes, sir.
Hey, Scottie D, slinging those breakfast pizzas. I want one. I got to have me a breakfast pizza. Oh my God, those are so great. Be Live, where can they find you other than St. Louis?
You can find me. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, Facebook. My name is Brian Livingston. My Instagram, your boy Be Live. Instagram, This Be Your Boy Be Live, any of the SportsBros podcast, social media websites. And you know what? I'm looking at a career change, so you might find me behind the desk doing some IT work, hopefully.
Yes.
We shall see.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yep. And of course, you know me, it's Eddy Cool, the HOC here at the Sports Bros podcast. Be Live, shut up about my head. I didn't forget about that. I didn't forget about that. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, that goes to show the head of creative has a phenomenal skincare routine. You can catch me on Instagram, Cool Season, all one word, and all of the other Sports Bros related Sports Bros podcast social media platforms. Also catch me on Twitter at The Real Eddy Cool. And shout out to the Sports Me app for featuring us, the Sports Bros podcast, in their story. And also, when you get a chance, check out Be Live's latest edition of What Happened, not a specific day of the week. Very entertaining, where he somehow, some way got a picture of my big ass forehead in the video. It was great. And Bob Kraft, he still ain't done with you. He still is not done with you. All right, fellas. Anything else before we get up out of here and watch
Breaking news,
and,
the Buccaneers assigned Tom Brady to a 10-year extension.
Oh, wow.
And
Jesus
Gonzaga
Christ,
is
it's
still
over with
number
now.
one in
It's
the
over with
country,
now.
undefeated.
All right, go Zags, go Zags. Well, fellas, next week this time we'll be concluding our conversations of football season. So we're gonna have to jump into NBA, college football, hockey, and some other things. And oh yes, if you have anything out there in Sports Bros podcast land you want to talk about sports related, hit us up in the DMs. Just let us know, because you know we are by the fans, for the fans. And that's what we do. All right, fellas, it's time to get up out of here. And in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else too. They will greatly appreciate it now more than ever. Be a blessing and not a burden. And just because it's cold outside, don't be an ass. Wear your mask. Let's get over this thing. Let's get back to normality. WrestleMania is trying to have people in the stands, which means games can go on. And just take care of each other, love each other, and just be kind, just be nice. It's been another episode of the Sports Bros podcast.
Yes, sir.